Good morning. Welcome to the Livecast, the Voiceover Livecast. We'll see who we get in here in the next couple of minutes. Probably a few of the regulars, although a couple of these people may be on vacation. So, we'll see. Hi, Sue. You are the first one here. Just getting a little early start, so I can get some people in here before I start narrating a little bit. Hi, Richard. All right. You're number 2, man. You didn't make it to number 1. Hey, Sabrina Hunt. All right. You're actually awake out there. You're on time. It's amazing. Well, I'm glad you did. Now, see, I just saw something. Something up there. Okay. I don't think this thing tells me every time someone logs in. Hi, Sarah. Good morning. It's a beautiful day. I don't think I'm back at the winery till November. It's going to be a little while, but we had a nice summer. So today, and I don't know if she's here yet. You can barely hear me. Okay, wait a minute. I think that happened last time. I have to kind of stand up and try to get this thing closer. Oh, hi, Michelle. Okay, there you are. You kind of have to be here for this one. All right. Hopefully that's better. I'll try to project. Yeah. All right. So in voiceover land, been really busy with audiobooks. Hi, June. Hey. I keep meaning to let Rick know and you guys that I'm at Kindred tomorrow, 7 to 10. And Lori English is my special guest singer. It would be great to see you guys. So I've been working on audiobooks. Hi, Kelly. And that's been going really well. Kind of in between right now, so it's actually been a quiet week. Get a little bit of rest. Been a little bit quiet on the music front too, which is a nice change of pace. Hey, Lori. All right. I just talked about you. And June Sims is watching, and she's part of that little group of people I told you about who are so terrific. And I met them a couple years ago, and they like to come out to Kindred, so I told them, Kindred, tomorrow, 7 to 10, we'll be there. Hi, Shane. So, okay, I gotta go ahead and start this. So actually, what's happening is, hi. I am going to narrate a little piece of a short story that Michele Pollock Dalton wrote, specifically for the Livecast. And she's the author, I know you've heard it before, she's the author of the Out of Africa series that I've been working on. We have 3 books done. I think that third book, audiobook, should be out. Maybe. I need to check on that. But it's a long series, and I'm going to be continuing it in November, December, January. I'm going to do books 4 to 6 back to back. And it's just been really nice. And we also have other kind of side projects going on a little bit. And this is just something she claims she just kind of whips up and doesn't, I don't know, she doesn't, well, I don't know what the word is. See, I'm not the writer. I think it's really good. So what this is the beginning of a story. And what we'd like to do, not yet, okay, book 3 is not out yet of the Out of Africa series. So I'm going to read this little story, and then we want your feedback on what you think should happen, what you would like to have happen, because she's just writing these kind of piecemeal. So just kind of let us know what you think. It's an interesting project, and presumably it could just turn into a whole thing and maybe get published or produced. I don't know. Hi, Don. Hey, Chrissy. So I'm going to go ahead and start because I don't know how long it's going to take. It's not all that long. But it's called The Belmont. Jazz musician Bobby Troup had immortalized the dusty old highway years earlier with his song Get Your Kicks on Route 66. But Lucas Barnfield couldn't find a single thing kicking in the little town midway between Springfield, Illinois, and St. Louis, Missouri. Instead, derelict buildings stood as sad sentinels along the cracked stretch of roadway, a dismal monument to a bygone era. Grimly, Lucas pulled into the gravel parking lot at his destination, then heaved out a feral growl and a string of profanities directed at his absent, money-grubbing cousin. "Damn you, Richie!" He scowled as he surveyed the opportunity of a lifetime. Grabbing his cell phone from the backpack wedged between his hip and the pile of belongings on the front seat, Luke punched the call button and waited for his miscreant, scum-sucking, mercenary cousin to answer. "What in the hell?" he shouted down the line when the call connected. Rich Levy rolled his eyes in exasperation and waited for the diatribe on the other end to die down before calmly replying, "I told you, the Belmont is an investment, Luke. That's $250,000 property you got there." "It's a block full of dilapidated buildings," Lucas rejoined, cursing himself as every kind of fool. "What exactly did you expect for 25 grand? The Ritz-Carlton? Jesus, get a grip," Rich contemptuously muttered. After shrugging the tension from his shoulders and smoothing a hand over his silk tie, Rich cajoled. "The Belmont is on the National Register. It's a landmark of American history, man. And you got it for a steal of a deal." Cursing a blue streak, Lucas ran wary eyes over the hulking shells of what was once a thriving enterprise. A compound of 4 commercial buildings and 2 houses dotted the otherwise barren lot. Even the plant life had abandoned the miserable piece of real estate. Ignoring the other man's frustrated mumblings, Rich expounded. "My father's great-aunt May played piano in the cafe there for 30 years, and she always had plenty of tall tales to tell the musicians that graced the small stage." Richie paused and waited for a comment. When none was forthcoming, he grumbled. "You wanted a songwriting retreat, Lucas, and you got it. Now stop bugging me and get on with it." Huffing out a disgruntled breath, Lucas disconnected the call and tossed his cell phone onto the dash of his beat-up 1954 Chevy pickup. The late afternoon sunshine was dipping steadily toward the horizon, and Luke needed to get his camper set up before he lost the last of the light. With resigned acceptance, he pulled up to one of the garage bays of the defunct service station. After a quick peek through the grime-covered windows, Lucas chose a likely candidate and hoisted the roll-up door. Disgust warped Luke's features as he peered into the gloomy cavern filled with miscellaneous junk. "Good God," he groused when the odor of old oil and the dust of decades nearly choked him. Since overnight temperatures would likely drop toward freezing, Lucas decided the protection of the smelly old building was preferable to his nards going numb. But he certainly was not pleased by the prospect of sheltering. in the rundown structure. Hang on a second. Hi, John. Rob. Ooh, we got Rob Fields and Rob Hofficer. Is that how you say it, Rob? Boy, it's been a while. Bobby, Julia, and John. Good to see you. Half an hour later, Luke stomped around in search of a place to pull in the oh boy, hang on a second. Hi, Vic. All right, we got this. Half an hour later, Luke stomped around in search of a place to plug in the extension that powered everything in his camper. He jostled a leaning tower of bald-faced tires out of the way as he looked for an outlet. When he'd signed the closing papers on the property a week earlier, the real estate agent assured him the utilities would be connected before his arrival. Yeah, right. Damn it all! he shouted at the hulking body of a rust-out Plymouth Barracuda. With filthy hands, he shoved the sweaty hair back from his forehead before he dropped them to his hips in tight fists. At the end of his proverbial rope, Lucas marched out to his truck and yanked the emergency flashlight from the glove box. There was a bite in the breeze, and sweeping air currents chased the storm of falling leaves into many twisters that danced across the broken pavement around the antiquated gas pumps near the front of the station. Buffeted by the wind, Lucas tugged the front of his flannel shirt closed and aimed the glow of the flashlight at the other low-slung structures on his property. The two buildings that formed the L-shaped motel might be questionable in terms of habitation, but Lucas figured it was worth finding out if they had power. Tentatively, Luke made his way across the open space between the service station and the original cafe. On his way past the larger of the two houses on the property, he stopped and shone the light over the peeling paint on the clapboard siding before he realized there wasn't a single light on in a several-block radius. Lucas hadn't paid much attention to the abandoned buildings across the street earlier, but the absence of light and sound nearly made him squirrely. After the incessant noise and energy of Chicago, the silence was deafening and unnerving. The crunch of gravel under his feet was inordinately loud when Luke traveled over the area reserved for parking in front of the old restaurant, but once he had a clear view of the ramshackle eatery, his mood skyrocketed. An intermittent glow beckoned him from the lopsided concrete steps, and Lucas shone his light through the front window. Startled by a gaunt, disheveled image in the glass, Luke jumped in surprise, and then groaned at his own gullibility. With a bemused chuckle, Lucas chided himself for getting the bejesus scared out of him by his own shadow. Chagrined, he scrubbed at the grime on his face with the back of his sleeve. There wasn't much improvement in his reflection when Luke checked the plate glass a second time, but at least the apparition wore a smile this time around. Unable to distinguish the interior source of light, Lucas dropped the beam of his flashlight and pressed his face against the glass for a better look. When the door moved in response to the press of his body, Luke gave it an annoyed shove and stared in dazed disbelief as it swung open. Jesus, what do I need with 20 different keys if they didn't bother to lock things up? He grumbled to himself as he brought his flashlight to bear. Swinging the beam from side to side, Luke gave a frustrated groan when he discovered more teetering piles of junk, and the beleaguered man scowled. Traipsing past an upended group of dust-encrusted mattresses, Lucas found a small opening near the serving counter and used the vantage point to scope out the layout of the seating area. There was a low hum of static in the air, and Luke was determined to find the source. Moving cautiously, Lucas worked his way around the relics of years long past, at least until he inadvertently bumped into a stack of chrome dining chairs. The resultant crash and domino effect of falling odds and ends was a deafening cacophony until the last of the mattresses fell with a hollow oof. Hi, Bobby. Hey, Patrick. Like I said, it's been kind of an off week, so I should be rested, although last night Lori and I hosted open mic at the Barrel Bar at Buckeye Lake, which was quite fun. But we also had just a very busy day. Tiring. So, there you go. But it's okay. We'll keep going. Waving away the storm clouds of dust, Lucas hacked and coughed until his chest ached. For the love of God! He bellowed when he could breathe again. How the hell was he supposed to get back through the shambles? Mere seconds later, Luke shouted, "You've got to be kidding me!" as the beam of his flashlight faded and then went dark. Tipping his head back, Lucas stared into the inky darkness above him and wondered exactly what he'd done to piss off God, because there certainly couldn't be any other explanation for the day he was having. The skittering and squeaking of the cafe's four-legged residents gave Lucas the heebie-jeebies, and he took a small step back. Thankful when the heel of his well-worn boot hit the small step up to the stage, Lucas took the offered route and escaped. Lucas Lucas took the offered route of escape in time to avoid the miniature horde of fleeing rodents. When the when when the disgruntled populace was quiet once again, Luke was reminded of his aggravating errand, and he finally noticed that the white noise had become more pronounced. Then it resolved and became a soft, tinny version of a familiar tune. "Tell me, dear, are you lonesome tonight?" Presley lowly crooned into the murky darkness. "Well, crap on a cracker," Lucas joyfully mused. There was power, a situation which definitely called for some type of impromptu happy dance, he decided with a grin. "Now the stage is bare, and I'm standing there with emptiness all around," the king continued, his voice resonating strongly, all traces of static gone. He listened intently, but as the music faded, Lucas was puzzled by this distinct scratch-scratch, a long-forgotten sound that followed a song when the phonograph needle came to the end of a vinyl record. "Hello?" Lucas called, aggravated and a bit worried at the thought of a vagrant holed up somewhere nearby. "Who's there?" He tried again. The swinging door between the seating area and the kitchen moved slightly, and a shadow separated itself from the inky darkness. "I didn't mean any harm," a soft voice explained. Shocked into silence, Lucas squinted his eyes and tried to make out the shape of his unexpected guest, but the almost indiscernible whoosh of the door swinging closed again convinced Luke that his visitor had retreated. "You can't stay here," he hotly advised. A quiet, lilting bit of laughter was the response from the kitchen, but Luke forgot his pique with the stranger when a dim glow shimmered and then brightened across the room. The subtle illumination drew Lucas's attention, and as he stumbled his way across the chaotic room, Luke was able to make out the domed shape of an old-fashioned tabletop jukebox. As one among many taking up space in the serving window, the well-preserved relic was a pleasant surprise. Lucas ran a finger over the rows of selected buttons at the bottom of the jukebox, and out of curiosity, he turned the chrome wheel and watched the little tabs containing the song names rotate. "Someone must have been an Elvis fan," he absently commented as he read off the names. "Yes," replied the wistful voice from the kitchen. Startled by the reminder of the trespasser, Lucas grumbled, "You can't stay here." "I heard you the first time," the young woman saucily rejoined. Distracted by the conversation, it took Luke a moment to realize the light inside the jukebox was fading. "Hey," he protested, "turn that back on. I need to see where it's plugged in." In the silence, Lucas waited for a reply, but the only response was the feedback of the phonograph needle as it settled into the groove. Then the distinctive sound of an acoustic guitar filled the air, followed by the backup singers and Elvis's questioning, "Are you lonesome tonight?" "Come on, not this again," Lucas groused before fumbling his way along the counter to the swinging door. He pushed against the chrome handplate and grunted. The damn thing wouldn't budge. "Listen, lady, don't make me call the cops." The wicked scratch of the needle being yanked across the record made Luke cringe, and he imagined there was a nasty groove left in the vinyl. "Lady?" Luke called. Another hard shove on the door propelled him through the portal, and Lucas skidded to a stop when he crashed into the corner of the table. Rubbing at the pane behind his zipper, Luke bent and propped his hands on his knees. "Jesus," he huffed as he cupped his sore balls. "Damn thing," he cursed before kicking at the offending piece of furniture with his steel-toed boots. I'm having a bonfire tomorrow, and you're going to be the first thing I toss in," Lucas hissed. Haley Mitchell bit back a grin as she listened to the man's diatribe. When the call had come in, she turned her squad toward the Belmont with the usual bit of frustration. The abandoned buildings were a prime site for teenage mischief, especially as Halloween approached. But Officer Mitchell was surprised to find a grown man lumbering about inside the clandestine hangout. "Sir, I'll need you to join me outside," she stated with authority before turning her flashlight on the suspect. Blinded, Lucas shot a protective hand toward his face. Gesturing the man forward with the beam of light, Haley placed the other hand on her firearm and anxiously waited for the vagrant's compliance. Backing away from the rear entrance of the cafe as the man approached, Haley demanded, "Hands up against the wall, please." "It's my place," Lucas protested while the officer patted him down and questioned his presence. "If you want a trespasser, look for the woman who's been camping out here." "Woman?" Officer Mitchell questioned dubiously. "Yeah, I didn't get a look at her in the dark, but she sounded young," Lucas explained as he tried to find a comfortable stance. Fighting the unmitigated urge to place a protective hand over his aching Johnson, Lucas attempted to keep his voice even. "Just look for a fugitive with a record player and a penchant for Presley." Haley snorted, then chuckled. "All right, mister. Who hired you? Drake? Roberts?" Quirking an eyebrow, Lucas slowly turned his head and sent a questioning glance at the policewoman. "Seriously, who put you up to this?" she questioned. Perplexed, Luke cocked his head and wondered what weird Twilight Zone episode he'd wandered into. "Okay, Mr. Barnfield," Haley relented. "We'll forget about this. But tell your buddies I'm not going to fall for another one of their pranks. Got it?" she directed. "Oh, and stay out of these old buildings. I don't want anyone getting hurt on my watch." Ma'am, I don't mean any disrespect, but what in the hell are you talking about?" Luke scowled. His attitude might land him in the county lockup, but at the moment, Lucas was beyond caring. "You've seen Miss May, huh?" Haley lightly questioned, already anticipating the answer. "Didn't get her name," Lucas grunted. "Can I turn around now? It's weird having a conversation with this wall." The squawk of her car radio drew Haley's attention for a minute, but then she focused her attention on the disheveled man. "You're free to go, Mr. Barnfield. I need to get back to my patrol." "Hey, wait just a minute. Are you going to look for the real trespasser or not?" Lucas growled as he faced off with the lady officer. "I don't want to press charges, but like you said, it's not safe for people to be wandering around here. You find that girl and tell her that." "Joke's over." Cutting the woman off, Lucas snapped. "What joke? There was a squatter in one of my buildings, and who knows how long she's been there." Huffing out an exasperated sigh, Haley moved toward the vehicle as she replied. 70 years, give or take." "Say what?" Lucas demanded, following along. Deciding to call a halt to the game, Officer Mitchell smiled. "Miss May's got a thing for the king of rock and roll, and if you run into her again, give her a chocolate milkshake. Supposedly, she'll happily drift off to the corner booth and moon over her lost lover." Confused, Lucas watched the sassy policewoman settle into her squad car. "I'm not running a shelter for Elvis groupies." Haley chuckled. If you've met May Levy, Mr. Barnfield, then I guess you are running a shelter for Elvis groupies, I mean. According to local folklore, Miss May doesn't just show up for anyone." Grinning, Haley winked at the disgruntled fellow. "Welcome to Litchfield, Mr. Barnfield." There you go. That's it for that. And I was worried about not having enough time. Hi, Kimberly. Hey, Don. Tim. Anna Rose. David Lee Willard. Kahuna Grande. Oh, there you go. We just became friends this morning, I think. Acting Johnson. Okay, so again, this was just something that Michele Dalton cooked up yesterday, the day before. And the story is called The Belmont. So now you've got an idea, if you've been here long enough, to know kind of what it might be about. But we're looking for feedback. Let us know what you'd like to have happen. It's all up in the air. She's the writer. I just talk about this stuff. So, let's see. There's not a whole lot more going on. I will have actually another, as far as the voiceover world, another spot for the West Virginia DNR. I just did one a couple days ago, so that should be out there. They get the videos together pretty quick for me. And that'll be on TV out there in West Virginia for actually probably quite a while. It's for the fall season. Hi, Samantha. You missed it. Sorry to say. But it's always online. So yeah, I'll have a new TV commercial to share probably next week. It'll be fun. Other than that, everything's cool. Again, I'll be at Kindred in Gahanna on Morrison Road tomorrow, 7 to 10, with Lori English as my special guest. Saturday's off, and Sunday I'm at Hidden Lakes Winery from 2 to 5. And that's always nice. I think the forecast is looking pretty good, so we should be outside on the gazebo. Very pleasant. And next Thursday is the Music Livecast. And so along with ideas for this story, give me ideas for what you would like me to play next Thursday. I like to kind of do a theme if I can, maybe an artist or just anything. Anything. So just let me know. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and cut out of here because I have nothing else to talk about. So, thanks for joining in. We'll see you next time.